Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. And today I'm sitting down with the one and the only Scott Hack from Louisville, Kentucky. How are you today, my friend?
I'm very good. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share with the group.
I'm excited to have you on. I feel like I've had you on the podcast before. Did TJ interview you last time?
Yeah, TJ did interview me last time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a moment. This is a moment, I think, here, Scott. All right. For those that don't know Scott, he is from Louisville, Kentucky, broker, owner of an independent firm in Louisville. And I got to get better at saying Louisville, too, because I'm going back there. It's Louisville. No, that
Right.
doesn't sound good either. We'll work on this. We'll work. I got a couple of weeks here to get ready. So, but Scott is from Louisville, Kentucky, has an independent brokerage firm there, and is also the founder. Him and his wife Liz started Real Estate Distilled, and you all know that's my favorite conference that I get to go to every year. And so we've got the man on the podcast here today to talk about Distilled, to talk about what you can get out of conferences, and you've got all kinds of wisdom. So let's start there, Scott. Tell us a little bit about Real Estate Distilled, how it started, what's the make of it, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So Real Estate Distilled started as an idea about 10 years ago. We're about to execute our 8th event in 9 years. Like a lot of other live events, we lost an event to COVID. And the real genesis is we wanted to put together a bunch of smart people in the room. And we wanted it to be other real estate agents that were in the room and people that were working in the trenches every day, doing the work, making the transactions happen. So as a kind of guiding principle, we've tended to shy away from a speaker that's kind of doing like a speaking circuit. So we want agents that are not necessarily polished speakers. So we want the person that's, doing the transactions every day as a kind of a general guiding principle. And then the other thing is we wanted it to be affordable. So as a city, Louisville is very affordable. Our hotel costs about $150 a night versus, $300 or something like that in Nashville. And then we wanted to have as much inclusive as we could. So we're doing our lunches at the event. So that way people are able to spend more time together, literally breaking bread, having those pinball interactions. So we want all of the content to be really straightforward and actionable. But we also want you to meet someone to your left and to your right that you can call up on a random Wednesday and say, I'm thinking about doing this idea. Tell me I'm crazy or that I'm a genius. Which one?
Mm-hmm.
So we're really just trying to build a community, and that's really important to us. The conference started because I didn't have a community for myself and for my brokerage. So I'd been attending conferences in the past that were centered around basically website systems or CRMs. And I had recently made a switch to a new website and CRM 10 years ago, and they did not have a live event or a conference that they were putting together. Like you said, my wife Liz and I, we got together. She has a background in event planning and nonprofit work. So she'd done a lot of live events. She'd worked with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, things like that. And I had a pretty good network of agents that I'd met across the country. So we got together, started working on putting together our first event, and the rest is history.
You invited me one year and I turned you down because I'm like, I'm not going all the way to Kentucky. I get paid to speak. I'm not going to Kentucky. And then I went home. My wife's like, what are you doing? Get your butt to Kentucky. And it was the best decision ever. And I'm so glad I go every year. But what do you look for? Because you just, every year you've got great speakers, great stuff. It gets right to the point. It's distilled. It's everything. So how do you do that?
Well, number one, we want people that are approachable. That's part of it. So if someone is, a lot of their focus is out there selling some sort of system or something along those lines, they're probably not a fit because we really want people to pour into the community. So that's part of it. Like looking for people that obviously have knowledge to share, but don't have an ego about it or an ulterior motive. So we want people that are there to actually, invest in the community. So I remember one year we had a couple speakers and I couldn't find them. They were speaking in a couple hours and they were upstairs in the hotel room. They were still working on their slides. And then they showed up 20 minutes before they did their talk and then they disappeared. And yeah, they were there. And all of the speakers are volunteers and we're not paying a speaking fee for people to be there. So that helps with making sure that people want to be there and are part of the community. So that's part of what we do. But at a break and have people be able to come and talk to them, ask questions. We do a dinner that is separate. And that's part of our thank you to our speakers and, some of our sponsors. So we do a bourbon tasting dinner and we invite people together. And again, building that community, a lot of opportunities for people to have conversations in between the sessions that are taking place. We are constantly keeping track of trends in the industry. So what's really popular? Last year we had, I think, one talk that was AI based. Not that AI wasn't a big deal last year, but it didn't have quite as much of an impact that it has, I think, right now. So I think this year we've got two or three people that are touching on aspects of AI. So that's always trying to keep an eye on what the trends are. And really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is give the attendees content that is actionable for them in their business today. That's either going to increase their quality of life or make them more money.
And I think another thing that I've noticed too, you go to some of these events and they're clear that they're a sales event, right? Like everything is about a sale, every speaker is about a sale. None of that at Distilled. It's like a community and we're there to help and we're there to serve. And I think that's part of it as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have sponsors, and they've got to be there to help pay the bills and keep back to our mission of being affordable. But we make sure that the sponsors are also sharing content that's, even if you're not using their service, it's something that you can use and take action on. So that's part of what we're doing. And then if you wanted to, obviously you'll be able to learn more about them at their booth in the back. But it is one of the things that we have a conversation with those people about, to say, hey, you need to have a conversation with this entire room as if none of these people will ever use you as a client.
Hmm. And
So
you can truly see that. I've loved the relationships with the sponsors. I learn from them just as much as I do the speakers. So that is definitely there. One thing that I've always noticed with the conference, and maybe this is a question you can't even answer because it's the community that's doing it, but you as the leader, I think have a part in this, that everybody that comes just wants to pour in. Like, I feel like it's like this secret society almost of everybody, like, come bring your best stuff and bring it to Distilled and share it and we'll make it better. How do you make that happen that way? Because it's happening.
I think part of it is trust. And that trust comes from just knowing people for a while and multiple years of seeing some of the same faces. And then taking those interactions that are happening face to face and making sure that they're being nurtured all through the year. So, we're not necessarily always doing events in the Facebook group, but we're making sure that if someone has a question, that we're trying to direct them to some other member that has potentially more knowledge about that. So, like I do with my real estate clients, there's a lot of times that I do not know the answer. Well, that's actually one of the things that I teach my agents when they first join my brokerage. Like, the sooner I can confidently get you to tell the client that you do not know, but you'll find the answer and you'll get back to them, the quicker things are going to come together for you. Because a lot of times, agents have that confidence issue. And really all you have to do is confidently say, I don't know, and be okay with it. And I do that a ton with tech and other real estate. And I connect, people in the community to each other, like kind of like just basically being a connector. And I get that from my wife, Liz. Liz is a huge community builder. She is much more extroverted. One of the things about hosting the conference as a benefit for me is I'm much more at ease because I know most of the people in the room. It's like at your own birthday party. Like, there's no one there that's a stranger. And even if someone's there for the first time, I'm, as a introverted person, I want to make sure that I'm introducing them to the people that I know. And that's easier for me because I already know, 70% of the room. So it's easy for me to introduce them to, because I'm not having to introduce two strangers. I'm finding someone that I already know and then introducing them to someone else. And I'm not the only one doing that. There's a lot of other people that are the part of the community that have that open arms, mentality, and really are very welcoming and open. And when you're there and you're able to be belly to belly and share that information, the trust factor goes through the roof. And then it's a lot easier to have those conversations about things that you wouldn't necessarily put in a message. You don't want there to be a record of it, or you don't necessarily want to share it with everybody in the world because you don't want all 1,500, agents in your market to know about it. But you're okay as an agent in Nashville having that conversation with somebody from Boston.
Yes, yes. And talk about pouring in. How much have you learned from, you're in the leadership side of the conference, but you're still learning a bunch, right? And being in community.
Yeah, it's infinite. I mean, it's crazy the amount of knowledge that the community has. And I mean, I'm constantly reaching out to people through Facebook Messenger is my preferred way to keep in contact with most of the people from the conference. Number one, it's just easy. Number two, there's a keyboard so I can type pretty quickly and I don't have to look up someone's address, email address, things like that. It's just like go in there, start typing, send a message and go. And I'm probably communicating with no fewer than 50 to 100 agents, on a every other week basis. So there's just a huge flow of information that's taking place back and forth. Some of it's about our CRMs. Some of it's, I've really been into vibe coding. Some of it's very basic. I remember one of our speakers from several years ago, I think he spoke in year two, and he's a huge influencer in the real estate industry now. So I'm not gonna necessarily drop his name, but he was doing buyer and seller classes in person 10, 8 to 10 years ago. And 8 to 10 years ago, I feel like that was pretty much a novelty, asking a seller to come to a class to learn about selling your house. And he was doing that. So there was some elements, I was reaching out to him and trying to get some information and saying, hey, what are you doing? And how are you actually getting people to show up? So anytime I see someone that's doing something unique, I'm in their inbox asking questions. And I'm probably the most curious person in the room. I never want to stop learning.
I love that. I love that. Now, with all of this experience of going to conferences, you have some great advice. Obviously, we'd love for you to come to Real Estate Distilled, but if that's not in the cards, use this advice we're about to give you for other conferences or any conference that you go to. So, can you give us a little rundown, a little take of some of the best things that you could give advice to somebody going to a conference?
Yeah, I think the first thing is people need to be intentional about why they're there. So obviously that comes down to a few different things like what are they hoping to learn and who do they want to meet? So there's a certain amount of content that you need to make sure that you are going to be able to take action on. And then the other piece is like who are you going to seek out and meet? Because those relationships will survive the conference. So it's important that you go ahead and set those up. And then everything that you can do to support those activities. So if there's not like organized meals and there's not organized dinners and things like that, make reservations and then invite people to those meals. Don't wait for someone else to organize it. Don't wait for someone else to invite you to something. There's that whole saying about if you have, a lot of extra resources, don't build walls, build a longer table. And I think that is something that's easy for people to do. Make a dinner reservation for 10 and then invite people to dinner. You're going to have the opportunity to spend extra time with them. You're going to be able to sit there. And as a pro tip, go ahead and get there about 10, 15 minutes early and sit in the middle of the table. If you picture a long table, it's hard to have a conversation from one end to the other end of the table. But if you're sitting in the middle, you got a good shot to have conversations at both ends of the table. So that's one of the things. And then just keep in mind that you're going to be either on the move a lot, on your feet a lot, or on the go a lot. So you need to pack a bag that's got snacks and a water bottle, and you need chargers and cables, something to take notes with. It's really important that it be something that you can keep on you. Women are able to carry purses a little bit more. Guys are able to carry backpacks now more and more. So that's one of the things that is very interesting. I apologize. We have a special guest that's joining me.
All
And
right. Hey, sweetie. I love it.
so that's one of the things. And they're, scheduling those things. Cards are, I think, important for people to pass out. I know digital business cards are really popular, but when you don't have something tactile to remind you to follow up with that person, they get lost as a record in your phone that there's no reminder of. And when you leave a conference, even if, you've got business cards that is a reminder of who that person is, and you can enter them into your CRM and you can send off an email and you can further that relationship. So I do like the digital business cards, but I do think that a paper business card makes more sense. So there's something to remind people of. So, and then after the conference, you need to schedule an implementation day or time, because if you're not taking action on the things that you learned, then why are you there? And a lot of times, if you're taking time away, you're going to want to get right back into things so you feel like you're not behind. And it's important that you take the time to actually digest your notes, look through and find the things that you want to take action on, and then move forward with those items.
Man,
So I think if you take it,
implementation day.
yeah, implementation day.
I
So
love
you
that.
need to have a plan before, during, and after the conference. And I really think that those are the big bullet points. Like, don't just come into it like you're going to be there. Have a plan before, have a plan during, and have a plan after. And if you execute your plan, I think you'll get a lot more out of your experiences.
Yeah. Well, another couple, just a couple of thoughts I had around this is one is an AI note taker wearable would be so awesome for conferences, right? To use and to take notes. Every conversation can be recorded. Everything from the conference. Like I love the note taker part. I'm like, ooh, AI can come in handy there. And then the other thought that I had, you said something and I lost it.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I
Yeah.
mean, going back to the before stuff, you need to be present at the conference too. So be sure that you are turning on your autoresponder for your email. Let people know that you're going to be delayed in emailing them back until after 5 o'clock. Change your voicemail greeting to let people know that you're at a conference. You're investing in yourself to be a better agent, and that you'll return their phone call after 5 o'clock. Ask them to text you if it's important so you can handle it quickly, on a break. So you want to do these things in advance to be ready. And then one of the things that I was talking with someone the other day, and you were talking about AI note takers, like, I've got Applaud, and it's amazing. It does such a great job of summarizing the notes. And if you are taking your own notes, take notes as if you are going to present it to someone, and or do that. Actually present it to someone else at your office, present it to, a coworker. That will help you solidify the information and also give you the ability to review your notes and have a purpose with it. And, specifically at Real Estate Distilled, we have breakout sessions. So there could be a chance where you want to be in two sessions at the same time, and you need to find someone and exchange notes anyway. So that's, one of the things that you can do. And I think you can do the same thing with accountability. So whoever you're exchanging notes with, or whoever you're, doing a presentation to, turn them also into accountability partner, and make sure that you are setting an implementation goal with a timeline. I'm going to do this over the next 30 days, or I'm going to get this ready for over the next 45 days. And then schedule a check-in every 2 weeks and see where you're going towards your goal, and make sure that you're holding each other accountable.
That is beautiful. I love that. The implementation day and structuring it so that you're gonna actually get the work done and hold yourself accountable to it. I thought of the other one too is when you meet somebody and you exchange cards, take a selfie with them and text them the selfie because then you have a photo with the name with the face and
That's
all of
good.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really good.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember it's been roughly 10 years ago. I met a gentleman at the conference for the first time, and he had a custom business card. His name is Brent. He's in Arkansas. He had a custom business card that said, here's my information. And then on the back of it, it said, we met at Real Estate Distilled. So it was another reminder of where that relationship started. So,
Brent, he's always
yeah, he's a
yeah.
smart guy.
He's a smart guy, yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Good deal. And what's some other things to go to the conference? Did we get through the list?
I think that, if you really just tie it into those, making a plan and then implementing the plan, and there's a lot of different things that you can do like with that. So schedule happy hour, schedule your breakfast. If there's not organized dinner, schedule the dinner. Like, go after those people. Make sure that you're going to be present. So that means having your business covered while you're out of town. The things about voicemail, your email. I think it's makes a ton of sense if you're not used to using rideshare. Make sure you have a rideshare app installed on your phone. Or if you're renting a car, that's not a big of a deal. And then with social media, I'd celebrate that you're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, or whatever city you're visiting. and ask for recommendations. It's engagement for your social profile. It's engagement for the city. Maybe someone's going to tell you about some hidden thing that you wouldn't have found out about that's going to be really cool. So I would use that also as an opportunity, to do that. Let's see what else is on here. Oh, this is something that I want to say that is not necessarily, I don't want to make this into a bigger deal, but I just want to touch on it specifically for Real Estate Distilled. So Real Estate Distilled, we have a bourbon and spirits theme because we're in Louisville, Kentucky, and bourbon is a big deal here. But as a conference and any business conference that you're attending, there's going to be a social drinking element to it. And some of that's going to take place at, the hotel bar or wherever that's at. And there's a few people I've talked to and they're like, well, I don't drink. And I get you a water and a lime and sit at that bar because that's where people are at and that's where they're gathering. So you don't necessarily need to partake in something other than what you're normally drinking. You want to just be there for the social aspect to make those interactions. So, if you need to escape and get some downtime to recharge because you're introverted and being around a lot of people wears you out, that's one thing. Or if you need some time to work on a contract, but make sure that you're taking advantage of being there and you're not just holed up in your room watching Jeopardy that you could watch at home. So treat it really as an opportunity to be around people in the industry and people who understand the day-to-day work, whether or not you want to necessarily do the exact same activities as them or not.
So good. So good. Yep. I'm a club soda and a lime drinker here, and man, it's all there. I haven't had a drink in 16 years now, whatever it is. And it's still going to the bar and hanging out with everybody at night. And that's where it's all at. Real conversations happen and you learn so much in those conversations. So can't recommend that enough. Now, how has Distilled, this is a big undertaking for you every year, and it's a benefit to the agents in your office and your company. But how is it on you and your business? And, thinking about other parts of the country that are thinking about starting a real estate conference, it's a big undertaking. It's a lot. And what would you say around all of that?
Yeah. So I would say that if you're considering starting an event, don't. That's what I would say to start with. And then I would say, if you're absolutely crazy, then have at it. It is a ton of work.
Yeah.
My wife Liz and I have had some arguments about it because it's challenging at times to work together. So, and you can't do it by yourself. So you need a committee. You need multiple people to help put things together, and you've got to have those people around you supporting you. And for me, that's Liz. So that's worked out. And then you have to have a vision for what you're and why you're doing it. So, you were talking about my brokerage and my agents and me. I get so much out of the community. I learn so much. Obviously, I get to help, kind of select the content that we're talking about. So that's a big deal. Like, what am I personally interested in? I get to help, kind of drive that a little bit. It gives me the opportunity to see so many friends that I know through the community that I would not necessarily be able to see all the time because they're coming to my town and I get to show off my city. So historically, Louisville has kind of like in Hollywood, it has like a country, backwoods type of portrayal. Even the Kentucky Derby has a lot of pageantry and there's not always things shared in a positive light for the city. And I love my city. We've got a ton of things that are here. We're easily accessible for a big part of the country. Outside of the racehorse scene, the Slugger Factory, the Ali Center, we got a beautiful waterfront. Just like UPS World Hub is here because our weather typically is fairly mild. We've got a lot of positives for us as a city. And the bourbon tourism obviously is the crown jewel from the tourism standpoint. We've got 8 to 10 distilleries that are in our downtown area that people can almost walk from one to one. So that's really nice. So I love showing off the city and I love building referral partnerships and just having all of these people across the country. And if there's something going on the coast, it's slow to make its way to the Midwest here. So I can keep an eye on what's happening in San Diego and what's happening in Miami and then be ready for it when it gets here, or be proactive and try to do something different before it ever shows up.
Yeah.
So, and then of course my agents get to do the same thing. We get to do the same experience. I love it when I have a brokerage bring 3 or 4 of their agents with them so they can experience the conference together as a team building exercise. I don't have stats, but I would bet that if someone comes to the conference, that those agents have a lot more loyalty to their broker and to the brokerage than if they don't attend. I just feel like that there's that much bonding that's able to take place on those type of trips.
Yes, yes. And how has it helped your business, or is it kinda get in the way of the real I mean, I think there's some benefits to it, but it's a lot of work, right?
It's a ton of work. It benefits my business in that I don't have to go out and look for other ways to learn. It also gives me a bit of a personal, like a creative outlet. So I'm able to do some testing.
Yeah.
So Neil knows this because he's been in my world and we talk a lot about different things. Video is something that intimidates me. And I've always used Real Estate Distilled kind of as my test baby to work on video that I can hopefully transfer over into my personal real estate business. So, and a lot of these tools with marketing and AI, if anybody is listening that's already signed up for Real Estate Distilled or that has seen me post about this, I built a website called seeyouatred.com. And it basically allows people to upload a headshot and generate one of 4 different images that they can share on social media that announce that they're going to be at Real Estate Distilled. So it's like a custom
Cool.
profile frame generator. And I built that for Real Estate Distilled, but the proof of concept now, I now understand how to do that. And now I'm taking that to my real estate business and I'm using that to say, okay, instead of uploading a headshot, I'm uploading a front elevation and I'm uploading a kitchen and I'm building kind of like a marketing suite that is Canva-esque, but is simpler because it's only the templates that I have basically built and I have complete control over. So it's not as much control for the agents, but a lot more control for me as the broker for my branding.
I love it. So it's the things I love how you're doing that, man. You got a little bit of a test market, you got a little bit putting a little bit of content, you're learning things that you're adapting. Yes, it gets in the way because it's a big undertaking to promote every year and find the speakers and all of that. But in turn, I think it's also just knowing you and being friends with you. I've seen you, yes, get on camera more, which is awesome. And I've also seen you like just do other things in the community. I think what you're doing with the can you tell us about the coffee business and what you
Yeah.
do with that? I love that too.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, Liz and I started a coffee brand. And the idea behind the coffee brand was we wanted something that was going to allow us to connect with our community and wasn't necessarily real estate related. You know, the National Association of Realtors releases the stats. It used to be, I think, like it was 7 years, and now I think it's over 10 years on what, someone's staying in their home on average. And we need to be able to stay top of mind with people. And it's hard to have a decade long relationship reminding people what you do without being annoying. So coffee is one of those things that we kind of gravitated towards. It's a consumable item. It's fairly popular. It's got a shelf life. State of Kentucky doesn't require sales tax. So we built a coffee brand that helps support the brokerage and we're able to pass that out as a gift. We're able to send it and do farmers markets with it. So, being more involved, we're starting to really get more entrenched this year about getting it in front of little leagues and soccer teams and helping be a fundraising vehicle for our community as well.
I love
So
it. And do you think without Distilled, you would have the courage to do I mean, you're such an entrepreneur, but like I feel like your events, I feel like you're I don't know, I just saw it all come maybe I saw it all come together at Distilled, so that's where I thought maybe it was a part of it too.
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's definitely an entrepreneur ribbon that obviously runs pretty deep in me. And I think that when you do that, you have to have the mindset and the ability to be okay with failure. There's a lot of things that I've tried that have failed. And you got to have that fail forward mentality and really dust yourself off and what makes the most sense and what is going to be a fit and what's not going to be a fit. Prior to Real Estate Distilled, I ran kind of like a private mastermind. There was about 20 agents that were in the group and we would go to a conference that existed already and we do a stay over day. So anybody who's considering, coming or is already coming to Real Estate Distilled, find a group of people and plan to stay over together and go do your implementation together. We basically did it where people would do a presentation and we'd ask them to share what impacted your business the most the past 12 months. So everyone that was attending presented. And of the 20 people, we'd have anywhere between 15 to 18, show up and actually present and go through. And that group worked well for about 3 years. And then what happened is people started growing at different rates, and my problems were no longer the same problems they had. So then I had to look and say, okay, do I replace those people, or do we just try to do something that's more open and bigger and have hopefully a larger impact, but still gives us the ability to learn from each other? And that's ultimately why we went with the conference versus starting the mastermind group back up again.
And I feel like that mastermind happens every day at the conference too, like just all the real conversations that happen. And it's interesting too. I mean, the Agent Rise Summit this year, we're going to that model, more of the real conversation, intimate mastermind over 3 days. And I think it comes from our years of experience at Distilled and having those conversations.
I think that there's something to be said. I mean, about being able to set the agenda, right? It's one thing for us to put together the content and say, this is what we're going to put together. And it's another for you to show up and say, I want to learn about this. And that's the opportunity that we're providing to people with the mastermind. You want to come in and you want to talk about geo farming, or you want to talk about newsletters, then we're going to talk about newsletters. And you want to talk about, work-life balance and how you're clocking out at 7 p.m. and you're not impacting your family's life by working until 10 p.m. at night, or the vice versa. Like, you want to work till 10 p.m. at night because you're in a growth stage and you're trying to figure out how you can squeeze as much in as possible because you're expecting a child next year, right? Whatever it is that you want to talk about, those masterminds give that ability to take place. So I have a friend and mentor, and I know he did not come up with this, but he always reminded me that when people are listening to the radio, their favorite station is WWIFM. What's in it for me? That was one of the things that he said to me. He's like, you need to give people what they want, whether or not that's a client or an agent at the conference. So we're really working hard to make sure that all of those different opportunities exist in different formats.
So good. So good. My friend, well, we're running tight on time here. It's such a pleasure having you on the show. We've got you got an amazing lineup of speakers this year, and we're not going to go through all the names, but all of the details are at realestatedistilled.com. Scott, give us the dates for the 2026 conference.
Yes, dates this year are March 16th, 17th, and 18th. So get to Louisville, check out the website. Happy to answer any questions for anybody. Anybody wants to connect with me personally, they can go to scotthack.com. My email, phone number's there. So I'm happy to take a call from anybody and see if you have questions that you can't get answered on the website.
Awesome. Come hang out with us in Louisville. I said it pretty good that time.
You did it right. Yeah, that was good.
That was good. I'm getting better. See, I hang around you a little bit longer and I get it again. So, all right, good deal. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We hope we see you all at Real Estate Distilled. Have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.